Alicia Berenson was 33 years old when she killed her husband. They had been married for 7 years. They were, by all accounts, the perfect couple. You know the type. You see them at gallery openings or walking down the street in the expensive part of town. He was a fashion photographer, distinct style, always in demand. She was a painter, a brilliant, somewhat reclusive artist who seemed to have everything. They lived in a house in London that had big, wide windows, the kind of windows that let in too much light and perhaps let out too many secrets. It was a hot summer, the kind of heat that sits on your chest and makes it hard to breathe, the kind of heat where tempers flare and the air feels thick with static. On the 25th of August, Gabriel Berenson came home late from a fashion shoot. He probably unlocked the front door, tossed his keys in a bowl, maybe loosened his tie. He didn't know it was the last time he would ever do those things. Alicia was waiting for him. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't lying in wait in the shadows. She was just there. And when the police arrived later, alerted by a neighbor who heard the shots, they found Alicia standing by the fireplace. Gabriel was tied to a chair. He had been shot 5 times in the face. And Alicia, she stood there in a white dress, completely silent. The gun was on the floor. Her wrists had cuts on them, fresh, bleeding, but she was alive. She looked at the officers. She looked at the body of the man she loved. And she didn't say a word, not a scream, not a cry for help, not a confession, just silence. And that was the beginning of the mystery, because from that moment on, Alicia Berenson never spoke again, not during the interrogation, not when they charged her with murder, not during the trial where the tabloids painted her as a monster, a cold-blooded killer, a black widow. She became a statue, a myth, the silent patient. Why? That's the question that keeps you up at night, isn't it? Why does someone snap? Why does a woman who seemingly has a perfect life destroy in a hail of gunfire? And more importantly, why the silence? Is it guilt? Is it shock? Or is it something far more calculated? Is the silence a shield? Or is it a weapon? My name is Theo Faber, and I'm a forensic psychotherapist. I've spent my life trying to understand the damaged mind, trying to put broken people back together. But Alicia, she was different. She wasn't just broken. She was a fortress. When the judge sent her away, not to prison, but to a secure psychiatric unit called the Grove, the world moved on. The headlines faded. The Berenson murder became old news. But not for me. I couldn't let it go. I needed to know why. You see, silence is a very loud thing. It echoes. It fills a room faster than screaming. When someone refuses to speak, they force you to project your own fears, your own theories onto them. They become a mirror, and looking into a mirror, that can be a dangerous thing. I applied for a job at the Grove specifically to treat her. People told me I was crazy. They said she was a lost cause. They said she was medicated to the gills, a zombie shuffling through the halls of a decaying institution. But I felt that there was something else going on behind those eyes. The Grove is a nice place. It's an old Victorian red brick building, slightly crumbling, smelling of institutional cleaner and boiled cabbage. It's a place where we hide the people society doesn't want to look at. And deep inside that maze of corridors sat Alicia. I remember first time I saw her. It wasn't what I expected. You expect a monster, right? You expect to see the madness written on her face. But she just looked vacant. She was heavily sedated, drooling slightly. Her hair was unwashed. She looked like a shell. But then, for a split second, she looked up, and her eyes, there was a fire in there, buried deep under the chemical haze. There was intelligence, there was rage, and there was fear. I knew then that the silence wasn't empty. It was full, It was holding back a dam of trauma that, if unleashed, might drown us all. But getting her to speak, that's the trick, isn't it? How do you unlock a mind that has thrown away the key? You don't do it with force. You don't do it with logic. You have to go in through the side door. You have to understand the psychology of the act itself. Why did she paint that picture? Oh, I didn't mention the painting. That's the most chilling part. A few days after the murder, before the trial, while she was under house arrest, Alicia painted one final self-portrait. It was a picture of herself standing naked in front of an easel, holding a paintbrush that was dripping red like blood, and she titled it Alcestis. It's a reference to a Greek myth, a tragedy. Alcestis was a woman who sacrificed her life for her husband, dying so he could live. And when she was brought back from the dead, she remained silent. She never spoke again. Why that myth? Why that title? Was Alicia saying she sacrificed herself? Or was she saying she was already dead? This is where we begin. We have to peel back the layers of the perfect life she lived before the gunshots. We have to look at the diary. Yes, she kept a diary. People keep diaries for different reasons. Some do it to remember, some do it to forget. But Alicia, she started writing in hers to prove she was sane. Imagine that for a second. Imagine feeling the edges of your reality fraying, feeling a creeping darkness entering your life, and needing to write it down just to anchor yourself to the world. Her husband, Gabriel, thought she was depressed. He worried about her moods. So she wrote to please him, to show him she was handling it. But if you read between the lines of those early entries, you feel the vibration of something wrong. It starts with the watcher. Weeks before the murder, Alicia wrote about a man standing outside her house, just watching, a shadow by the lamppost. At first, you think maybe she's paranoid. Maybe it's the artistic temperament. London is a busy city. People stand on streets. But then it happens again. And again, she tells Gabriel. And this is where the dynamic shifts. This is where the psychology gets dark. Gabriel doesn't believe her. He dismisses it. He tells her she's imagining things. He tells her it's the stress, the work, the pills. He gaslights her effectively, not out of malice, perhaps, or maybe it was. That's the question. But he makes her doubt her own eyes. And that is a terrifying place to be when the person you love, the person who is supposed to be your protector, looks at you with pity instead of belief. It isolates you. It pushes you into a corner. And a person in a corner is a dangerous person. So I'm sitting in my office at the Grove, reading these accounts, try to reconstruct the woman Alicia was before she pulled the trigger. And I'm looking at her now, sitting in the therapy room across from me. I convinced the director of the clinic to let me reduce her medication. It was a risk. If she wakes up, she might be violent. She attacked a patient once before. But I needed her lucid. I needed her to see me. "Hello, Alicia," I said. Silence. She sat in the chair, staring at the wall. She didn't acknowledge my existence. It's a power move, really. Silence is control. When you speak, you give something away. When you stay silent, you force the other person to work, to project, to fill the void. I didn't push. I just sat with her. I let the silence hang there, heavy and suffocating. "I know you can hear me," I said softly, "and I know you have something to say. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not the police. I'm not the press. I just want to understand the painting. Alcestis, why her?" For the first time, her head turned, just an inch, but it was enough. She was listening. The therapy sessions became a chess match. Day after day, I would go in, and day after day, she would give me nothing. My colleagues told me to give up. They said I was becoming obsessed. And maybe I was. You have to understand, I have my own ghosts. We don't choose this profession by accident. We become therapists because we are damaged too. We try to fix others to fix ourselves. My wife, Kathy, I love her more than anything. But even in my own marriage, there are silences. There are secrets. I would go home to Kathy at night, and I would talk about Alicia. I felt a kinship with her, the loneliness, the feeling of being misunderstood. I started digging into her past. Beyond the diary, I went to see her brother-in-law, Max. He was a lawyer, slick, arrogant. The kind of guy who wears his money like armor. He met me in his office, looked at me like I was a bug on his shoe. She was always crazy, Max said. It was in her blood. Her mother was crazy too, you know. That was a clue. The mother, Alicia's mother, had died when Alicia was a child. A car crash. Alicia survived. Her mother didn't. It was a trauma that defined her life. But Max hinted at something darker. He hinted that Gabriel wasn't the saint everyone thought he was. Gabriel loved her, Max said, pouring himself a drink. But he loved her like you love a pet or a project. He wanted to fix her. And when he couldn't, he trailed off. I visited the art gallery where she used to show her work. Jean Felix, the owner, he was another piece of the puzzle. He was obsessed with Alicia's talent. And maybe obsessed with Alicia herself. He told me that the painting, Alcestis, was a message. She wasn't silent because she had nothing to say. Jean Felix told me, his eyes narrowing. She was silent because the truth would kill her. What truth? Back at the Grove, things were escalating. The other patients, they sensed a change in Alicia. There was a woman named Elif, aggressive, volatile. She liked to provoke Alicia. She sensed a dormant volcano. One afternoon, in the common room, Elif pushed too far. She made a comment about Gabriel, about how he probably deserved it. And Alicia, the statue, the silent ghost, exploded. It happened in a blur. 1 second she was sitting still, the next she was on top of Elif. Her hands, those painter's hands, were around Elif's throat. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't making a sound. She was just squeezing. It took 3 orderlies to pull her off. I watched from the doorway. I saw the look on her face. It wasn't madness. It was pure, concentrated rage. And in that moment, I knew she wasn't a victim. She wasn't a helpless woman who snapped. She was a force of nature. And she was hiding a secret that was going to tear everything apart. I had to get her to talk. I had to know what happened that night. Because the man she wrote about in her diary, the Watcher, he didn't just disappear. Alicia wrote that on the day of the murder, he entered the house. She was painting in the summer house, the little studio at the bottom of the garden. It was hot. The air was buzzing with flies. She heard a noise behind her. She turned around, and he was there, the man from the street, the shadow. He was wearing a mask. But here's the thing about the diary entry. It stops there. The police found the diary, but the last pages were blank. Or were they? I needed to know what happened between the man entering the house and Gabriel coming home. I went back to her room the next day. She was sedated again, strapped to the bed for her own safety after the attack. I pulled a chair up close. Too close, probably. Alicia, I whispered. I know about the man. I know about the Watcher. Her eyes snapped open, pupils dilated, breath hitching. I know Gabriel didn't believe you. I continued, but I do. I believe you. Tears, actual tears welled up in those big, dark eyes and rolled down her cheeks. It was a first crack in the dam. Who was he, Alicia? I asked. Who was the man? She opened her mouth. Her lips parted. My heart hammered against my ribs. I leaned in, desperate to catch the whisper, the confession, the truth. but she didn't speak. Instead, she did something that chilled me to the bone. She reached out a trembling hand and handed me her journal, not the one the police found, a different one. She had hidden it. It was tucked inside the canvas of an old painting she kept in her room, a privilege allowed to her because she was an artist. She handed it to me with a look of defiance. I took it. It felt heavy, not physically, but spiritually. It felt like holding a bomb. I didn't read it there. I waited until I was home, in the safety of my own apartment, with the door locked and the world shut out. My wife, Kathy, was asleep in the other room. The house was quiet. I opened the pages. This wasn't the frantic scribbling of a mad woman. This was clear, lucid. Alicia described the intruder. He didn't hurt her, not at first. He walked into the summer house, wearing a mask, holding a gun, but he didn't shoot. He talked to her. He told her to sit down. He told her to be quiet. And then he waited. He waited for Gabriel. Imagine the horror, sitting there, tied to a chair, knowing your husband is coming home, knowing he is walking into a trap and being unable to warn him. The slow ticking of the clock, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway, the sound of the key in the lock. Honey, I'm home. Those mundane words, the last normal words Gabriel would ever say. The intruder moved fast. He grabbed Gabriel the moment he walked in. There was a struggle, a brief, violent scuffle, and then Gabriel was on his knees, bound. Beside Alicia, the intruder stood over them. He held the gun, and then he spoke. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for jewelry. He asked a question. I'm going to kill one of you, the intruder said. His voice was calm, distorted by the mask, but calm. And I'm going to let the other one live. You choose. He pointed the gun at Gabriel. Do you want to live? He asked Gabriel. Or do you want her to live? This is the moment. This is the crux of the entire tragedy. The psychological torture. It wasn't about the violence. It was about the choice. Alicia wrote that she looked at Gabriel, her husband, the man she loved, the man she worshipped. She was ready to die for him. She was Alcestis. She was crying, begging the man to take her instead. Kill me, she screamed. Please kill me, let him go. And the intruder turned the gun to Gabriel. He waited for Gabriel's answer. And Gabriel, the fashion photographer, the man of taste, the man who claimed to love his fragile wife, Gabriel looked at the gun. He looked at Alicia. He looked at his future. And he said, I don't want to die. He wept. He begged, please, I don't want to die. Take her. She's not well. Take her. Let me live. Silence. The silence that followed that statement must have been louder than the gunshot that followed. The betrayal. It wasn't the bullet that killed Alicia Berenson. It was those words. Take her. The intruder didn't shoot Gabriel. He laughed. A cold, hard laugh. He untied Alicia. You see, the intruder said to her. You see who he really is? And then the intruder turned and walked out the door. He fired the gun into the ceiling. Bang. Just to make a noise. And he left. He left Alicia standing there, alive, with a husband who had just condemned her to death to save his own skin. Gabriel sat there weeping, broken, exposed. He couldn't look at her. And Alicia, she picked up the gun. She didn't shoot the intruder. She didn't call the police. She looked at the man who had promised to love her until death do them part. The man who had just traded her life for his. The diary entry ends with a single sentence. He killed me, so I killed him. She shot him 5 times in the face. She obliterated the face that had betrayed her. I put the diary down. My hands were shaking. It all made sense now. The silence. It wasn't madness. It was a refusal to engage with a world that had lied to her. It was a refusal to defend herself, because in her mind, she was already dead. Gabriel had killed her soul the moment he spoke. Alcestis, the woman who dies for her husband. But in this version, the husband refused to save her. I sat there in the dark, processing the horror of it. It was a perfect tragedy. But there was one thing missing. One loose thread that threatened to unravel the entire tapestry. Who was the intruder? Why did he do it? Why did he play that game? Why didn't he just rob them? Why did he want to expose Gabriel? It felt personal. It felt like revenge. I went back to the grove the next morning. I felt different. I held the secret in my hands. I walked into Alicia's room. She was sitting by the window, painting. I read it. I said. She turned. Her eyes were clear. I know what he did. I said. I know he betrayed you. Alicia stood up. She walked over to me. She looked me in the eye. And then she spoke. Her voice was rusty and used like a door that hasn't been opened in years. But it was steady. Theo, she said. It was the first time she had used my name. You want to know who the intruder was? She whispered. Yes, I said. Tell me. She smiled, a sad, knowing smile. I don't need to tell you, she said. And then the room seemed to tilt. The air grew thin. Because, she continued, her voice dropping to a whisper that sounded like a scream inside my head. It was you. Wait, stop, rewind. You need to understand what just happened. You need to reevaluate everything I have told you. I am Theo Faber. I am the psychotherapist. I am the narrator. But narrators can be unreliable. Let's go back. Not to the murder, but to my life. I told you I had a wife. Kathy, I told you I loved her. What I didn't tell you was that Kathy was cheating on me. I found the emails. I found the texts. She was seeing a man, a photographer, a man named Gabriel Berenson. I didn't confront her. I couldn't. I loved her too much to lose her. But I needed to know him. I needed to know the man who was stealing my life. I started following him. I watched him. I watched his house. I was the watcher. I was the shadow by the lamppost. I didn't intend to hurt anyone. I just wanted to talk. I wanted to confront him. But then I saw her, Alicia. I saw how fragile she was. I saw how he treated her. And I realized he was destroying two women, his wife and mine. So I formulated a plan, a test. I bought a mask. I bought a gun. It wasn't loaded. Well, I told myself it was irrelevant. I broke into the house that night, not to kill them, but to expose him. I wanted Alicia to see the truth. I wanted her to see that the man she loved was a coward. I wanted to destroy his marriage. So he would leave my wife alone? Or maybe just to burn his life to the ground like he had burned mine. I tied them up. I gave him the choice. And he made it. He chose himself. I didn't know she would kill him. I swear to you, I left the gun because, well, I wanted him to feel fear. I didn't think she would use it. When I heard the news, when I heard she had murdered him, I was horrified, but I was also relieved. He was gone. Kathy was mine again. But then Alicia didn't speak. She went to the grove. She stayed silent. And I lived in fear. Fear that one day she would talk. Fear that she would recognize me. Fear that she would point a finger and say, "That's the man." So I applied for the job at the Grove, not to cure her, to silence her. I needed to be her therapist. I needed to control the narrative. I needed to see if she remembered me. I needed to know if she recognized my voice, my eyes behind the mask. And for months, I thought I was safe. I thought the drugs had wiped her memory. I thought the trauma had buried the face of the intruder. But she knew the whole time. She was playing me, just like I was playing her. She wrote that fake diary entry, the one she gave me, to see if I would react, to see if I would admit it. And now, standing in her room, looking into her eyes, I realized the game was over. "It was you," she repeated. I looked at her. "Alicia, you ruined my life," she said. "You killed him. You pulled the trigger. You just used my hand to do it." She was right. Psychologically, I was the murderer. I created the situation. I broke her mind. I handed her the weapon. "What are you going to do?" I asked. My voice was calm, but inside I was screaming. "I'm going to tell them," she said. "I'm going to tell everyone." She turned to walk to the door, to call the orderlies, to end my life, my career, my marriage. I couldn't let that happen. I had come too far. I had fixed my marriage with Kathy. We were happy. We were trying for a baby. I couldn't lose everything now. I reached into my pocket. I always carry a syringe, a sedative, just in case a patient gets violent. It's standard protocol. Or maybe it was preparation. "Alicia," I said. She turned back. I moved fast. I grabbed her. I injected the needle into her neck. A massive dose. Morphine. Enough to put her into a coma. Maybe enough to stop her heart. She slumped into my arms. "I'm sorry," I whispered into her ear as she faded away. "I'm so sorry." I laid her on the bed. I arranged her hands. I made it look like she had overdosed, like she had given up. I walked out of the room. I walked out of the grove. I went home to my wife. And now Alicia is in a coma. The doctors say she might never wake up. The secret is locked away in her brain, buried deeper than ever before. She is the silent patient once again. And this time it's forever. I sit here by my window, watching the snow fall on London. I am free. I am safe. But silence is a tricky thing. Sometimes when I look at Kathy, I wonder if she knows. I wonder if she suspects. And sometimes in the dead of night, I catch myself checking the street lamp outside my house, looking for a shadow, because I know better than anyone. Karma doesn't speak. It waits. And sooner or later, the silence comes for us all. The story doesn't end with the coma. You might think it does. You might think the silence has returned and the case is closed. But in psychology, nothing is ever truly closed. Trauma is a ghost. It doesn't disappear just because you bury the body. It haunts the house. And right now, we are living in the haunted house of Theo Faber's mind. Let's go deeper. We need to dissect the anatomy of this betrayal, because what you just heard, the twist, the revelation that the narrator was the villain, that is only the surface. To truly understand the silent patient, we have to understand the mechanism of the lie. Think about Theo. Think about me. I spent the entire time telling you about Alicia's madness. I guided you through her diary. I analyzed her childhood. I pointed the finger at Gabriel, at Max, at the brother-in-law. I was a detective, holding the magnifying glass. But the trick of the magician is to make you look at the right hand, while the left hand is sliding the card into the sleeve. I was a therapist, the healer, the one person in the world who is supposed to be safe. We trust therapists with our darkest secrets. We trust them to hold our sanity in their hands. So, what happens when the therapist is a monster? It's the ultimate violation. It's a rape of the mind. I enter Alicia's world not to save her, but to monitor my own crime. Every question I asked her, "Why did you shoot him? What were you thinking?" was not clinical curiosity. It was risk assessment. I was checking the locks on the cage I put her in, and you trusted me. You listened to my voice for the last hour. You felt sympathy for me because my wife was cheating. You saw me as the victim. This is the power of perspective. In the story of your life, you are always a hero, even if you're the villain in someone else's. I didn't see myself as a bad person. That's the scary part. I saw myself as a man who was wronged, a man who was trying to fix a cosmic injustice. Gabriel took my wife. He took my happiness. He laughed at me, so I took his life apart. It felt balanced. This is the logic of the psychopath. We don't think we are evil. We think we are balancing the scales. But let's look at Alicia again. Let's look at the painting. Alcestis. I told you the myth. A woman dies for her husband, but I didn't tell you the most important part of the Greek tragedy, the part that explains everything. In the myth, when Alcestis is brought back from the dead, she is silent. She refuses to speak to her husband, Admetus, the man who let her die. Why? The scholars debate this. Some say she is traumatized. Some say she is a ghost. But the truth that Alicia understood is that there are no words for that level of betrayal. When the person you love looks at you and chooses themselves over you, language fails. Words are for connection. Words are for building bridges. But that act, that I don't want to die, take her, that burns a bridge. It nukes the bridge. There is nothing left to say. Alicia's silence wasn't a symptom of insanity. It was a judgment. She was judging Gabriel. She was judging the world that created men like Gabriel. And by staying silent, she was holding a mirror up to everyone around her. She forced Gabriel to live in that silence for the few moments before she shot him. She forced him to sit there untied, alive, looking at the woman he sacrificed. Can you imagine the volume of that silence? It must have been deafening. And then she shot him, not to kill him, but to silence the noise in her head, the noise of his betrayal. But here's the irony. The cruel, twisting knife of fate. By shooting him, she silenced the only witness to his crime. If she had spoken, if she had told the police, "He tried to let me die," they might not have believed her. Gabriel was charming. Gabriel was a star. Alicia was the unstable artist. The narrative was already written against her, so she chose the only path that gave her power. She became the enigma, and then I came along. The man who set the trap. When I injected her with that morphine, when I put her into that coma, I wasn't just silencing her. I was completing the cycle. Gabriel sacrificed her to save his body. I sacrificed her to save my life. Two men, two lovers, both using Alicia Berenson as a human shield. She never stood a chance. This is the dark heart of the story. It's not about a murder mystery. It's about the disposability of women in the eyes of desperate men. We used her, we broke her, and then we labeled her the silent patient. So we wouldn't have to listen to her scream. But let's go back to the childhoods, because monsters are not born, they are made. If you want to understand why I did what I did, and why Alicia did what she did, you have to look at the fathers. My father was a brute, a violent, angry man who beat me, who told me I was worthless, who made me feel small. I spent my whole life trying to be the opposite of him, try to be gentle, try to be a healer. But trauma is genetic, not in the blood, but in the behavior. When I found out Kathy was cheating, the rage I felt, it wasn't my rage, it was my father's rage. It woke up, the monster I had locked in the basement, and my mind broke down the door. And Alicia, her father killed her long before Gabriel did. There is a memory in her diary, a childhood memory. She was in the car with her father. Her mother had just died in the crash. Her father was driving, weeping, screaming at the universe. And he said something. He didn't know she was listening. Or maybe he didn't care. He said, "Why didn't she die?" Why did it have to be my wife? Why couldn't it have been Alicia? Why couldn't it have been Alicia? Imagine a child hearing that. Imagine hearing your father wish you were dead instead of your mother. That is the moment Alicia Berenson died. That is the moment she decided she was unworthy of love, that she was a burden, that she was disposable. So when Gabriel did it, when Gabriel said, take her, it wasn't a new trauma. It was a confirmation. It was the universe repeating the same message. You should have died. It triggered the snowflake effect. You know how an avalanche starts? It's not the crash at the bottom. It's the single snowflake that lands on a snowpack that is already unstable. Her father was a snowpack. Gabriel was a snowflake. The weight became too much. The mountain collapsed. This is why she snapped. It wasn't about the gun. It wasn't about the affair. It was about the confirmation that she was fundamentally unlovable. And I was the one who shook the mountain. I knew this. As her therapist, I knew this history. I read it in her files. I knew her father wished her dead, and I still put her in that chair. I still put the gun to her head. I used her trauma against her. I weaponized her past. Does that make me evil, or does it make me human? We all have a breaking point. We all have a line in the sand. For Gabriel, it was death. He would do anything to avoid death. For Alicia, it was abandonment. She would kill to stop the abandonment. And for me, for Theo Faber, it was humiliation. I could not bear the humiliation of being the cuckold, the fool, the man whose wife laughs at him with another lover. My father humiliated me. I swore no one would ever do it again. So when I saw Gabriel laughing, living his perfect life, taking my wife, I didn't see a man. I saw my father, and I had to destroy him. I had to prove that I was smarter, stronger, that I was the one in control. And I won, didn't I? Gabriel is dead. Alicia is silent. Kathy is with me. I won the game. But the price of winning is that I have to live with the knowledge of what I am. I am not the healer. I am the disease. Let's shift the lens now. Let's look at the other players in this tragedy. Because a fire needs more than just a spark. It needs fuel. And there was plenty of fuel around Alicia Berenson. Take Gene Felix, the gallery owner, the friend. He claimed to love her art. He claimed to want to protect her legacy. But did you notice how he looked at her work? He didn't see pain. He didn't see expression. He saw dollar signs. After she was arrested, the value of her painting skyrocketed. The Alcestis became priceless. A painting by a murderess? The art world eats that up. Tragedy sells. Blood sells. Gene Felix knew this. He visited her at the Grove not to comfort her, but to secure the rights. He wanted to own the silence. And then there's Max, the brother-in-law. He assaulted her. Years ago, a drunken night, a stolen kiss, a grope in the dark. Alicia told Gabriel. And what did Gabriel do? He did nothing. He sided with his brother. Max is just like that, he probably said. He didn't mean anything by it. Another betrayal. Another brick in the wall of silence. Every man in Alicia's life failed her. Her father wished her dead. Her brother-in-law assaulted her. Her husband traded her life for his. Her therapist silenced her to save himself. Is it any wonder she stopped talking to men? Is it any wonder she retreated into a world of paint and canvas? In that context, silence is not a withdrawal. It is a strike. It is a refusal to participate in a system that is rigged against you. Think about the title, The Silent Patient. We assume patient means someone who is sick, someone receiving treatment. But patient also means waiting, enduring, suffering without complaint. Alicia was patient. She waited a long time for the truth to come out. She waited in that chair, tied up. She waited in the Grove. She waited for me to slip up, and I did. I slipped up when I gave her the journal back. I slipped up when I let my ego get involved. I wanted her to know it was me. That's the sickness of the criminal. We want credit. If I had just stayed away, if I had never taken a job at the Grove, she might have stayed silent forever. She might have rotted in that cell, drugged and forgotten. But I had to poke the bear. I had to go back to the scene of the crime. Why? Because I was lonely. It's a strange thing to say, but I felt a connection to Alicia that I didn't feel with anyone else. Even Kathy. Kathy didn't know the real me. Kathy didn't know I was a killer, but Alicia knew. Alicia was the only person in the world who saw my true face, the face behind the mask. In a twisted way, we were soulmates. We were both damaged children. We were both betrayers and betrayed. We were both murderers. I went to the Grove because I wanted to be near the only person who understood the darkness. And that is why I had to kill her, because she understood it too well. Now let's talk about the mask. When I broke into the house, I wore a balaclava, a black mask. Why do we wear masks? To hide our identity? Yes, but also to become something else. When I put that mask on, Theo Faber disappeared. The insecure, jealous husband vanished. In his place was a god. I held the gun. I held their lives in my hands. I felt powerful. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the victim. I was a judge. This is the allure of dark psychology, the temptation of control. We all wear masks, don't we? You wear a mask at work, the professional. You wear a mask with your friends, the funny one. You wear a mask on social media, the happy one. But who are you really? If I tied you to a chair and put a gun to your head and stripped away all the masks, what would be left? Would you be Gabriel, begging for your life, throwing your loved ones under the bus? Or would you be Alicia, silent, resigned, ready to die for love, even if that love was a lie? You don't know. You can't know, not until the gun is real. We like to think we are the heroes of our own stories. We like to think we would be brave, but survival is an ugly instinct. It lives in the lizard brain. It doesn't care about honor. It doesn't care about love. It only cares about breathing. Gabriel Berenson wasn't a monster because he wanted to live. He was a monster because he pretended to be a hero right up until the moment he needed to be one. The hypocrisy is what killed him. If he had been honest, if he had been a selfish jerk from the start, Alicia might have left him years ago. She might have lived, but he sold her a fairy tale. He sold her the perfect husband. And when the mask slipped, the horror was too much to bear. There is a lesson here, a warning. Be careful who you trust. Be careful of the quiet ones, the ones who watch, the ones who listen. We are absorbing everything. We are cataloging every slight, every betrayal. And be careful of the ones who talk too much, the ones who profess their love too loudly, the Gabriels of the world. Real love is quiet. Real loyalty doesn't need to be announced. And most of all, be careful of your own mind. We are all capable of terrible things. Under the right pressure, under the right combination of trauma and fear, we can all become the intruder. We can all become the murderer. It's just a matter of degrees. So what happens now? I told you I am safe. I told you I am free. But am I? I check the news every day. I wait for the phone to ring. Maybe the morphine wasn't enough. Maybe she wakes up. Maybe she writes another diary. Maybe there's a camera I missed. The paranoia is a prison. I am not in the Grove. I am not behind bars. But I am in a cell just as small as Alicia's. I built it myself. And in this cell, there's no one to talk to. I can't tell Kathy. I can't tell my colleagues. I have to carry this stone alone. And the stone gets heavier every day. Sometimes I think about turning myself in just to stop the waiting, just to end the silence. But then I look at Kathy. I look at her smile. I look at the life we have rebuilt, and I make the choice Gabriel made. I choose myself. I choose to live, even if it means living a lie, because the truth is a bullet, and once you fire it, you can't put it back in the gun. Let's dig deeper into the painting itself. Alcestis. Alicia painted it in the days following the murder. She was under house arrest. The police were watching the house. She was trapped. Why the paint? Art is a language. When words fail, images speak. In the painting, she is nude, vulnerable, exposed. This represents her state of mind. She has been stripped of her illusions. The armor of her marriage is gone. She is holding a paintbrush, but it looks like a knife. It is dripping red. Is it paint or is it blood? In her mind, they are the same. She is creating art out of her trauma. She is taking the ugliest moment of her life and turning it into something permanent. This is what survivors do. We try to make sense of the senseless. But notice the eyes in the painting. Critics said the eyes were blank, empty. They were wrong. The eyes were judging. She was painting herself looking at the viewer, looking at us, asking the question, what would you have done? And asking the deeper question, do you see me now? For years, she was invisible. The quiet wife, the troubled artist, the crazy woman, but with a gun in her hand. Suddenly, she was visible. Suddenly, she was powerful. Violence is the voice of the unheard. When you take away someone's voice, when you invalidate their reality over and over again, you leave them with no other option. They have to scream. And sometimes, a scream sounds like a gunshot. I want you to imagine the timeline. Alicia shoots Gabriel. She drops the gun, and then she cuts her wrist. Why? Because she had accomplished her mission. She had killed the lie. There was nothing left to live for. She didn't want to go to prison. She wanted to go into the dark. She wanted to follow Alcestis into the underworld, but she survived. The police came too soon. The paramedics saved her body, but they couldn't save her mind. So she did the next best thing to dying. She stopped speaking. She killed Alicia Berenson, the person, and became the silent patient, the object. Objects don't feel pain. Objects don't get betrayed. Objects are safe. It was a survival strategy, a brilliant, desperate, tragic strategy. And for 6 years, it worked until I walked in. I was the only one arrogant enough to think I could fix her. Arrogance, that is my sin. The Greeks called it hubris. Excessive pride. It's what killed heroes. It's what destroyed cities. My hubris was thinking I could control the chaos. I thought I could manipulate the situation, get the closure I needed, and walk away clean. But chaos cannot be controlled. It can only be contained for a while. And now the containment is failing. My mind is failing. I catch myself staring at walls. I catch myself losing time. Am I becoming her? Is that my punishment? To become the silent observer of my own disintegration? Perhaps that is justice. Perhaps the spirit of Alcestis has moved from her to me. I am the one with the secret. I am the one who cannot speak the truth. I am the silent patient now. We are nearing the end of our session. But before we close the file on Alicia Berenson, I need you to do something. I need you to look at your own life. Is there a silence in your house? Is there something you are not saying? Is there resentment you are burying? A suspicion you are ignoring? We all have a watcher, a shadow. Maybe it's a partner who is growing distant. Maybe it's a boss who undermines you. Maybe it's a voice in your head telling you you're not good enough. Don't ignore it. Don't be like Gabriel, pretending everything is perfect while the house is burning. And don't be like Alicia. Waiting until it's too late to scream. Speak. Break the silence. Confront the truth, even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. Because if you don't, the pressure will build. The snow will pile up. And eventually, the avalanche will come. And when it does, it buries everything. The snow is falling harder now outside my window. London is turning white, blank, clean. It looks like a fresh canvas. Maybe that's what we all need. A blank slate, a chance to start over. But we can't erase the pain. We can only paint over it. The layers are always there underneath. The history is there. I will go to bed soon. I will lie next to Kathy. I will hold her hand. And I will wonder, is she thinking of him? Is she thinking of Gabriel? Or is she thinking of me? And does it even matter anymore? We are just two ghosts, haunting a house of lies. Good night, Alicia, wherever you are in that dark, dreamless sleep. I hope you found peace. I hope you found the silence you were looking for. As for me, I have a long night ahead, and the silence here is very, very loud. This was the story of the silent patient, a story of love that rotted into hate, a story of silence that screamed louder than any confession. You have walked through the maze with me. You have seen the monster behind the mask, and now you carry the truth. But stories like this, mysteries that twist your mind and touch the darkest parts of your soul, they are rare. Most people sleepwalk through life. They want the happy ending. They want the easy answer. But you stayed. You listened. You stared into the abyss. You are part of the MoonWhisper family now. If this story sent a chill down your spine, if you're asking yourself right now, who can I really trust? Then don't just fade back into the dark. Join us. That subscribe button down there. Click it. Click it like you are breaking the silence. Make it official. Join the few who are brave enough to hear the stories no one else tells. And that bell icon, turn it on, because the next story I have for you is deeper. It is darker. And trust me, you do not want to be asleep when I drop it. If this video kept you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that we are awake. It helps us find the others. And I need to know your verdict. Tell me in the comments below. Was Theo evil, or was he just a victim who broke? I will be reading every single theory. This is MoonWhisper Tales, where the truth hides in shadows, and where the silence always speaks. Good night, and keep watching the shadows.